He's the appropriations chair, so he's going to make sure that the whole bill can work. He's been a champion for Medicare for all, for single payer for all. Every single resident in California will be covered by this bill, and that's key. Nurses know that the key is covering every single person. And I want to make sure that he knows that we appreciate all the work that he does. So if you could make some noise for Senator Ricardo Lara right now.
Awesome. Where's Long Beach at? So great to be here. Good morning. Are we ready to do this? I can't hear you. Are we ready to do this? You know, I have to give it up to my partner in justice and equity, Senator Toni Atkins, who's here as well. Give it up for San Diego in the house. I am so honored to be here today with our California nurses, with this amazing coalition of men and women who believe that healthcare is a human right for everyone. You know, when you leave here and march a few blocks to the Capitol, you know, in a few hours, we will hold the first hearing for Senate Bill 562, the Healthy California Act. It's been a long march just to get here, and you all know it, and the nurses have been leading the way. Let's give a shout out to our nurses. Let's give a shout out to the activists who have never lost faith. Let's give it up to the moms and dads who believe that health care should be a human right and that we should no longer pay these outrageous costs for our care and quality of care. Thank you for carrying on this fight for universal health care for so long, because it is the right and moral thing to do. And we are here, and we are going to ensure that we get closer to ensuring that we can put California on the mark and ensure that California becomes the first state to have a single-payer system. You know, for me, this fight for health care started with my parents. As two undocumented immigrants, we did not have access to health care in the most powerful state in this country. We had to travel to Mexico to get just basic care or just forgo having care entirely. And so this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. The Healthy California Act will establish a state-based universal health care system and provide comprehensive health care to cover every single Californian. We have come a long way with the Affordable Care Act. We have come a long way with Covered California, but we still know that there are 2.9 million people that do not have care in our great state. We are not going to rest until everyone has access to comprehensive health care. Are you with me? We know that those who do not have access to care have significantly worse health outcomes and are disproportionately people of color and families from low-income communities. Americans continue to pay more than any other industrialized nation in the world for less care. How does this make sense? How does this make sense to ensure that we, as the richest country in this globe, continue now to pay more for our care and get less. That is not right. That is not right, and we have to change that. With President Trump's promise to abandon the Affordable Care Act and leave millions without access to care, California must lead. Just as we are protecting a woman's right to choose, just as we are protecting against and for our immigrants to be integrated into our society, just as we are protecting our world-renowned environmental policies against this administration, we are prepared to protect our health care and ensure that everyone has care with or without this damn president. You know, this Trump administration wants to divide us. They want to intimidate us. But you know, I come from a very strong woman, a very strong mother, who crossed the border at 16 with not knowing a lick of English, not knowing how she was going to get by. And together with my father, they put together the resources to now ensure that their son is a state senator in the greatest state in California. Mr. Trump, you don't intimidate my immigrant mother. You're certainly as hell not going to intimidate me. Not now, not ever. And he is not, certainly not going to intimidate any of us in this room today. So we are going to put the naysayers aside. We're going to put the people aside who say that this cannot be done, and we're going to encourage them to think outside the box. As a matter of fact, there is no box. Join us in this revolution to ensure that everyone has access to care. We don't care if you're undocumented. We don't care if you're a low-income worker. We want to ensure that everyone has the right to care, because this is who we are as a society. One election is not going to determine who we are as Americans and who we are as Californians. California leads. California has the courage to say that it is time to finally remove the insurance companies from the decision-making of how we get care in this country. It is time to say once and for all that healthcare is a right, not a privilege for those who can afford it. It's time to give every California resident one plan and the ability to choose their doctor and their care. It is time to put doctors and nurses in charge, not insurance companies. Are you with me? The road will be difficult and long ahead, but know that Toni Atkins and I are committed to taking this all the way to the finish line. We are committed to ensuring that we once and for all create this system. You know, I just came back from Canada and see firsthand how this system works. We can still innovate. We can still be the world leaders in research under a public system. We know that this is the only option given the imminent threat of this administration. So I just want you to know that I am with you. Toni Atkins is with you. We are in it for the long haul. We know this might take a while, but we are committed because you, everyone, every single one of you in this room feels our passion for change, feels our passions for equity, and ensuring that we get this done. And this is going to be a dedication not only to every single one of you, but to that child that continues to lack health care, to those immigrants that feel threatened with this administration. We are going to tell them that they matter, that every low-income family no longer has to choose between putting food on their table and determining what kind of care they're going to access. So are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for health care that costs less? Are you ready for health care that covers everyone? Are you ready to make California the first state to cover all its residents? California, it's ready. Let's get this done. Let's get this done now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being in this fight with us. Muchas gracias a todos. Esto es plan para la justicia de todos y asegurar de que todos tengamos acceso a un cuidado de salud. Gracias a todos ustedes por estar con nosotros. Thank you so much, and let's get this done.
Wow. Nowadays, legislators like Senator Lara are hard to come by. The person that I'm going to introduce is another person who is real, who will make it happen, and no doubt we did not make a mistake in endorsing her and electing her to office. As we all know, people across the street, like somebody had said earlier, they say they're true, but when it comes to crunch time, when they're ready to fight for what's right, they back off. But the next person that I am going to introduce, I'm getting excited, is, like I said, a real person, true to form. And people, nurses from San Diego, where are you? Woo! You should be proud that she represents you. So without further ado, she is the former Speaker of the Assembly, and she's the co-author of our awesome bill. She comes from Senate District 39, Senator Toni Atkins.
Good afternoon. You are an incredible sight. An incredible sight. I'm glad San Diego's in the house. Thank you so much. You know, what do you think of CNA? They kind of get the job done, right? You know, I have to say, I am honored to be working with Senator Ricardo Lara. He is the hardest working senator in the building. I watched him do 4 bills yesterday, and not one of them was simple. And then he started out this morning with another difficult bill. So you know what? If I'm in a fight, who do I want with me? I want CNA nurses and Ricardo Lara. I am going to say another thing or two about Ricardo, because did you see he's got a lot of heart? He's got a lot of passion. He's the real deal. He knows what it means to grow up hard. His family knows what it means to grow up in difficult circumstances. But you know what? Look at him today. He is an incredible force of nature in this Capitol, defending the rights of all residents. All residents. And in this era, I have stopped saying undocumented. I call everybody that lives in California residents. And he fights every day to make sure that all of our residents have those rights. And it's any wonder he's going to be the next insurance commissioner in the state of California? He's got my vote. Look, I just wanted to come up and follow him and to say thank you. Thank you. When they said a few people might come up to support our bill today, 562, I thought, okay, a few people. Man, you really turned out. Thank you. Thank you. You know, my story's not much different than Ricardo's. It's similar in many ways. I grew up in Southwest Virginia. My dad was a coal miner. My mom was a seamstress. We didn't have health care. I didn't have health care coverage until I was about 25 years old and went to work at a community clinic. And I remember, think about it, my dad was a coal miner. That's not the safest job in the world. And we lived always in fear of what happens if dad gets hurt, what happens if mom gets hurt. And then there was the day that I ended up in the hospital. I was 12 years old, and they didn't know what was wrong with me. And my mom and dad didn't have paid sick leave either. So they had to take time off from work, taking turns, risking losing their jobs to be there with their kid, and they didn't know what was wrong with me, and they had to take turns missing work to sit with me. And then they had to figure out how they were going to pay that hospital bill. My entire life, I don't remember a time that my parents weren't working to pay some clinic or hospital bill from some mishap. And so it was always a situation where they were trying to pay stuff off, and we were blue-collar working-class people. So I, like Ricardo, like you, I believe that health care should be a basic right that we all deserve. And I don't want another parent struggling to worry about how they get to work and how they're going to take care of their kids when they have a mishap. You know, accidents happen. Things happen. You need to see a doctor. You need to see a nurse. You need to have a provider that's going to take care of you. And you need to make sure that it's not going to take all of your resources and you end up homeless. That happens in this country, and it's wrong. It is wrong. And thanks to you, up and down this state, there has been a mobilization, and I've heard the stories up and down the state of people who come to share their one story. And it's just unbelievable, as Ricardo said, that we could live in the richest state, in the richest nation in the world, and yet people don't have access to health care. That is wrong. That is wrong. And you have come to your state capital to correct a wrong. And we are going to do it. I have never felt so much excitement. I have been a single-payer, universal care proponent for decades. And I know that it has been a long road for those of you that have been fighting to get this done. I saw Sheila Kuehl last night. Mark Leno worked to get this done. And every step of the way, you were there, pushing forward. But now we have momentum. Now we have the success of the Affordable Care Act. We have that to build upon as a foundation to go further. California will not go back. We will not stand still. We are going forward. I have to say, your energy is infectious. That's a good thing. We don't need a nurse for that. You're going to take that over to the state capitol, and when we present this bill this afternoon in the Health Committee, you are going to make your presence known. I just want to say thank you. On behalf of that little kid 50 years ago that was in a hospital and my poor parents, I want to thank you. This is a dream come true for me. I don't know how Ricardo feels. Well, actually, I think I do. When you work hard all your life as you have done and you get to a moment where you can make a real difference in the lives of individuals, this is that moment. And so I have nothing but gratitude, appreciation for the opportunity to stand with you. And we would not be able to do this if you were not here today. So your being here makes a difference. We are going to make a difference. We are going to take this momentum and this energy over to the capital, your state capital. This is your state. That is your capital. And we are going to convince my colleagues that this is the right thing to do. And you have made that possible. You have made that possible. So I thank you. Now, I will say, and I think you know this, I know your profession. My sister's a nurse. My mother-in-law's a nurse. You're tenacious. You don't give up. And we're going to make this happen. When my colleagues looked at Ricardo and I think there was a moment where they said, really? You don't really think you're going to get this done, right? You're just playing to the base. And I'm like, no, I don't do bills that I don't intend to get done. That is not the way I do things, and that is certainly not the way Ricardo Lara does things. We are serious. We're going to do this, and we're going to be able to do it because you're here today. So, what are we going to do? We're going to go get this bill done. Every step of the way. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. I'll see you at 1:30. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm feeling good. Are you feeling good? You know, this is going to be international in scope.